Welcome back to Catherine's Couch. This week we're going to be talking about going home, outgrowing friends, friends from home. I'm going home at the end of this week to my hometown, and I love my hometown. And it's actually one of the first times that I haven't been, like, I am nervous, but at the same time, I feel more at peace than I have lately. And I thought it could be helpful to share why. So I'm nervous to go home because I'm nervous to feel alone. Like, I'm nervous to feel isolated. I moved across the country from my hometown, and for a lot of my childhood, I think I've always felt very insecure about social relationships, like friendships. And I think a lot of that has to do with my ADHD. And for a lot of my life, especially growing up, I felt like I clung so hard, like I held so tightly onto friendships. I thought that it was my goal to maintain them and keep them. And it didn't come easily to me. So it was really, really exhausting. I moved across the country from my hometown, and a lot of my friends from home are still there, or at least still on the East Coast. I am not close to all of them anymore, and I don't feel good about it. It makes me feel bad. Like, I'm insecure about the fact that I'm not super close to all of them anymore. And I'm insecure about the fact that I see them hang out without me. And I've always been insecure about that, actually. I have a sensitivity to feeling like left out. And I understand logically, like, I live across the country and people are good. People are not trying to hurt me, and at the same time, I'm really sensitive. And so I can feel really hurt and left out pretty easily. Going to the wedding of my best friend from high school, I am the only member of our friend group from high school that, like, isn't in the wedding to my knowledge. And that makes sense to me. Like, we have grown and I don't spend a lot of time with her. She wasn't in my wedding either. And I've just been nervous about it for a bit. And now that we're getting closer, I'm so excited to see her as a bride. I'm so excited to see all of the love that surrounds her. And what helps me through that nervousness is to think about my own wedding day and me. I remember walking down the aisle to see my husband, and in my wedding day, it was important to me that I invited people from different parts of my life, people who I didn't speak to as frequently, and who in and of itself, being invited to a wedding is a privilege. And there are people who I didn't invite to my wedding who I love, because you can't invite everybody. And I feel so privileged, like, to be invited to the wedding. And I remember catching her out of the glimpse of my eye when I walked down the aisle to my wedding day, and how much that meant to me, because we've spent so much of our childhood together. I spent so much of my dreaming with her, and it meant so much and felt so fulfilling to be at a day like my wedding day, where so much of my life was, like, changing, and to have somebody who's seen so many parts of me. I'm so over the moon to be able to do that for her. At the same time, while I've grown and changed and gotten closer to people who are physically, geographically, or even just on journeys that are more similar or might feel more similar to mine, her closeness to people who I have known when I was younger isn't an affront to me. And I'm not better because I'm not close to them. Everybody's on their own journey in life. And I do better to remind myself that any period of time where your journey reflects somebody else's, any period of time where you can be close to somebody, a season of life is such a gift. And that season, perhaps ending or becoming more distant, does not take away from the gift that it was in your life. I think I'm going to try and keep that present when I am there this weekend, when I go home. When I first moved, it was really hard for me. I was, like, moving across the country, and people from my hometown who I was close to or really wanted to, like, force a closeness to, which is funny because you can't control, like, so much in life. And I felt really, like, exhausted trying to control, like, forcing a closeness to people for me when we were just naturally growing. And that's not because we're bad people or we weren't meant to be. Like, our seasons in our life and our journeys were changing, and they were meant to change. It's like the Harry Potter movie when they're all in different places. Like, we're just meant, you can't change what's meant to be. I remember before I moved across the country feeling a sense of fear about what was to become of me. And it kind of felt like I was looking back, and it was easier for me to see what I was leaving than what I was entering, like, because that felt more in my face. It felt more physical and tangible for me. And so it was really hard to make peace with the fact that I knew I was doing what was the best for me. I knew that this was something I was meant to do. And also, just because I was doing something I was meant to do does not mean it was easy for me. It was easy to trust my intuition, but the process of the grief of growing was getting to me and did get to me. I felt that way going to college too. I think I was the last person to go. Like my college started the latest. And I remember watching people leave and feeling this real discomfort with the purgatory state my life had entered in those weeks of time. It does take a lot of energy for me, and it takes a lot of effort for me to not see closeness that other people have had in my absence and be hurt by it. But it's effort that's worthwhile, because somebody that I love, I want them to be happy. And just like the friendships I have made in my life, that the bridesmaids in my wedding did not detract from the love I've had from people I grew up with, that is the same feeling that people have about me. I'm not the same person I was when I was living at home and in high school. I'm not the same person I was before I moved across the country. I'm not the same person I was at 30 now that I'm 31. Like every day I become more myself. And I think when we visit places that we feel similar to growth, when we visit a place that we can tangibly see where we've come from, it can be instinctual to try and see the difference between like where we've come from to where we're going as something we should measure in something's better or worse. It's very natural to sink into the grief of that growth, trying to encourage you and say that that grief will not kill you. It's such a gift to be able to grow, and it's such a gift to be able to see where you've come from and love all the versions of you that you've been. And when you are around people, places, friends, spaces that remind you of the versions of you that you have been, what a gift to feel something. Like the feeling itself is validity. And so I'm trying, I guess, to sink into that for this next trip. And in doing that, I'm really excited. I'm excited to be the version of me that I am and pay homage to the versions of me that I've been. And while I don't fit in places and spaces that I did before, I'm excited to see different parts of them as I go in as the version of me that I am. I believe that we are all each other's soulmates in a certain way, that we're all alive at the same time on this planet. People come into your life for so many different reasons, and how wonderful and how beautiful it is to have spent any time with any one of them. I, along with everybody, am an amalgamation, a mosaic of the love that I have met, the people that have loved me, the growth in my journey, and going home will shed light on certain parts of that mosaic. This time I'm going to sit with them, look at them. Maybe I'll paint them. You're always on time for your own life. Thank you so much for listening. If no one has told you yet today, let me be the first to say you're always on time for your own life. I love you very much. You mean the world to me, and I will see you next week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.